Welcome to Lawn Rush. This channel is dedicated to business. My name is Sean. The content in this channel is relevant regardless of what business you're in, whether it's sales, service, particularly the lawn and snow business applies, but really this stuff is relevant to any business. We're going to be doing a series of videos talking about the most important rules of business. A lot of people in business are going to be more advanced than I am, but a lot of people are going to be less advanced than I am and can benefit from this. But as a community, it's just going to be a good place where everybody can just interact in the comment section, regardless of where you are in business. But let's just dive right into it. The most important rules of business. We're going to talk about one topic per video, and we're just going to release a series of videos here and put it all in one playlist. The first most important rule of business that I want to talk about is always changing and always adapting to the situation that you are in. I think a lot of times people get so rigid in their ideas and their practices that it kind of hurts them in business. A lot of times it's older companies that have an old billing practice that's not necessarily good for today's time, that maybe doesn't take advantage of all the technology available in today's world. For example, if you're doing everything by paper, or if you're doing slow payments where you do like a net 30 for snow plowing or something like that, where you'll get paid 30 days after your service, it could be that you're making a big mistake. There's a lot of problems with billing that way. When you're a subcontractor for a lot of these companies, a lot of these contracting companies want to provide the service in that way. They want to provide payment in that way where you get paid after 30 days or 15 days or something like that. I think that's a mistake, and that's a sign of something that just hasn't changed. It hasn't stayed current with today's times, and it's just a system that refused to update for what would be required in today's world. Not changing is the biggest mistake that you can make. I remember when I first got into business, and the first few jobs I did, I started out with just a push mower and going on Craigslist and booking jobs, booking accounts for mowing. And I really didn't understand billing. And what I did is I just said, whatever you have, I'll take. If it's cash, I'll take it. If it's a check, write a check to my company or whatever. At the time when I first started, I didn't even have an actual company. People were just writing checks for my company, and then I had to go get the company name, actually get the business actually started, and it took me a few weeks. So I had to sit on people's checks for a few weeks until I actually started the business properly. But I was accepting any form of payment, and I didn't really put in concrete terms the time frame or anything that needed to be paid. So what ended up happening is I did a couple jobs and everything was going great, but then you get one client. I got one good client that really messed me up. Well, I should say not so good of a client. So I went and I cut the lawn, and they said that they would leave the payment in the mailbox. So I waited for the payment. Actually, I went and did the job, checked the mailbox for the payment, and there was no payment there. So I call them, no answer. So I leave a voicemail, whatever. Later that day, they call me back. And they say, "Oh, we're so sorry. We forgot to put the payment in the mailbox. We'll put the payment in there. I'm doing it right now. So anytime you want to swing over and pick up the payment, it's in the mailbox." So the next day I swing by, go get the payment from the mailbox, try to get the payment out of the mailbox. There's no payment in the mailbox. There's nothing there. So it took me literally 3 or 4 times of going back and forth to this person's mailbox to get a payment before they actually paid me. And it made me realize, this is not the best way to do it. So right away I implemented a change. Now, the change that I made is I started just taking PayPal. That way I wouldn't have to go back and forth so many times in order to get paid. But then as I did that, issues started to arise, and I still wasn't getting paid. So I tried a couple more things, and what I ended up doing is just ended up with credit cards on file. Now that was a big change, but at the end of the day, all this comes down to just being able to change your strategy, change your ideas. Don't be so rigid. Like billing. I'm working for a company right now as a subcontractor, and I feel like they have a lot of outdated practices that don't really support what a strong business is right now. I haven't been paid on some jobs, and I have to physically go back in time to the previous place in business where I have to physically collect money, physically make a call, collect money, and I'm sure they'll pay me, but I have to go through the process of a bill collector, which is something I pretty much eliminated from my business at this point. So after PayPal, the problem with using PayPal is the customer still has to initiate the payment, and a lot of times they'll get busy or whatever reason they won't pay you, generally because it takes time out of their day for them to pay you, that it's just, for whatever reason, it just gets forgotten. It doesn't happen, particularly for a service business that is recurring. You're coming back every week. If you have to rely on your customer to pay you physically, to do something and pay you, whether they're writing you a check, whether they're going on their email and going into their PayPal or sending you the money, everybody's going to forget to pay you. Everybody's going to not take account how much time they have and how much energy it takes. There's always going to be that one person that's really good about it, but even that person's going to forget at some point, one time here and there. But when you're dealing with a lot of different people, you're always going to be chasing money. Implementing a change fixed 90% of that. Now, there's still issues. Basically, what I do now is I bill after 24 hours. I bill automatic charging and credit card. And that was a big change. Now, right now, like I said, I bill after 24 hours, but it always wasn't that way. I used to bill after 7 days for whatever reason, but I found that wasn't working, because say if I cut the grass and everything looks nice, it's all done up, striped out real nice, the grass is cut perfectly. Why would I bill you when it grows back? And if there's ever a discrepancy, if I bill you right when it happens, to me, it makes more sense, because you look outside, you get a notification on your phone or whatever you have going on, and you're checking your account, you see a charge from me, and you see that it took place on the day of the lawn cut, and you can physically look outside and see that your lawn is cut. That's how I do my snow plowing. That's how I do my salting. All of it. I want to charge you for salt when the salt's on the ground. I don't want to charge someone for salt 2 months later. And that's how I'm getting paid from this subcontracting deal that I'm doing. They're trying to pay me for salt that's long gone, that I already spread. What if we disagree on salting? What if they come back at me and say, well, did you salt this day or that day? Or what if there's an issue? If I were billing you quicker, or you were billing the customer, whatever, if everything was happening quicker, things could be addressed a lot quicker. I mean, what if I would just insert a fake salting 6 months later, say, hey, I need to get paid on this salting? How are we going to figure out what really happened? I mean, there's GPS and everything, but why do we have to go through all that if I bill you right then and there when the salt's on the ground? There's no confusion. So these are some changes that I've made over the years. And every year I go in there, I look at my contracts that I have myself, and I make small changes that move me closer to my goal. My goal is not to be a bill collector. My goal is to just run my business, do good work, provide good service. And that is what we're doing. And every year we get closer and closer to that goal. I spend very little time collecting money or running after money. Very little time at banks all these things take time, and using this rule of changing and pivoting, it has made it a lot easier for me to sustain my business. Now, this idea of changing is more than just billing. I mean, it's every aspect. Whether you're on an actual lawn, cutting the lawn, is there something that can be changed to make it more efficient? And I'm not talking about changing just for the sake of changing. I mean, actually physically changing something, testing it, seeing if it works better, really analyzing it, and seeing if it really is something that's beneficial. Sometimes you make a change and you really analyze it and you have to change it back to the way it was. One thing that I was able to change was the services that we're doing. We were focused so hard on lawns that our business was kind of weak because a lot of times the lawns would dry out. The pricing in lawn mowing is very tough. Anybody with a mower can start mowing lawns, so the market is really saturated. It really isn't what it should be as far as pricing is concerned in my area, where people will cut lawns for $30. You can make good money doing a lawn for $30, but when you start to get bigger and you start to have employees and payroll and taxes and everything, just the base pricing gets really hard. There's so many things that have their hands in your money. Well, we had to make a change to offering more services in order to become profitable. Some of the things we offered is just a lot of bush trimming and bush removal. Bush removal allows you to make as much profit as you want, whatever you could sell, and it really gives you a lot more leverage with selling. Trying to sell lawns is so brutal because there really is so many different options, and there's so many different people just picking up mowers and mowing lawns. Whereas when you have bush removal, there's not a lot of people thinking about that. A lot of people don't want to do it, and you can do it. Now, is it going to fill up your whole schedule? Probably not. But it's going to fill out and balance out for the slow times, for the dry times. You can run quick ads on Facebook. This is all part of change. Changing and trying things and doing things that you might not want to do. I didn't want to do bushes, and I didn't want to do bush removal, but making that change, consciously making that change, was a huge benefit for my business. So one of the most important rules, first video kicking off this series, is changing in order to survive in your business, is pivoting in order to survive in your business, is being open-minded to new ideas in order to survive, in order to thrive in business. That is one of the most important rules, making changes. It sounds simple. Of course, you got to make changes, but you got to be conscious about making those changes. Billing, services offered, I think you never really want to be the one that knows it all. You want to be someone who's open-minded, willing to analyze new information and understand that you're not always right, and sometimes changes need to be made. So this idea has been a core part of my business for a while, where we've always implemented changes, whether it's time tracking employees, the applications we use for that, whether it's software that runs the routes, whether it's the services that we offer, whether it's how we do our billing, whatever. I don't know what the future holds. I don't know what the future changes will be to keep us sustained in business, but rest assured that the future does hold changes. So one of the most important rules, don't be afraid to change. I see it all the time on Facebook. Guys are crying, particularly the snow plowing mafia, where guys will make these posts and they're just like, I haven't been paid, or it's not snowing, I'm not getting paid because Mother Nature says there's no snow. The problem isn't Mother Nature, the problem is you. You need to make a change. This year, first year for us making a change to switching all our residential snow accounts to being prepaid for the year. Got one of the slowest years on record, and having that money really helped out. Having I think we did something like $20,000 prepaid. That's what it costs us just to idle our business all winter and have truck ready, insurance on the truck, everything that goes into running a business. If we're going to provide the service, we can't just let the business fall apart. So just that change there, it's happening all the time. It's something to really think about. And one of the most important rules in business: always be willing to change at every level. Whether you're on the property and you need to make an adjustment to the process so that the job can be done quicker, whether you're running your payroll, whether you're running your time tracking for your employees, whatever. You just have to be aware, be methodical. Don't make changes just for the sake of making changes, but really think about it and figure out what can be done to improve. Small incremental improvements will net a huge improvement over time. So anyway, comment below. Tell me what you think about this video. Hope to hear from you soon, and have a great day. Bye.